When people get unhappy, they turn to things like alcohol or comfort foods or, something that releases dopamine, but that drains you. And that actually has a greater harmful effect. Some people get so unhappy that they go and they take antidepressant drugs that makes them more unhappy in the background because they're only trying to mask the unhappiness. You are not deficient in those drugs. You know you're not. And you're not deficient in alcohol. You're not deficient in drugs. You're deficient in other elements and nutrients that are affecting your body's well-being, and your physiology drives your emotion. And people mistake emotion for feelings. These are frequently asked questions that we often have coming from clients who are just wanting to know better health information on how to get the most value out of things that they're purchasing, whether it's from activation or from anywhere. So one of the first questions is, what is your opinion on colloidal silver for mouth and gum health? Well, colloidal silver is very popular. It's been around forever. And people use it often inside of toothpaste, or they'll even use it as a mouthwash. And I think it's very effective. I've used it over the years myself. The things that I found are even more effective, Solaris, and realizing how extremely powerful it was by people who gave us feedback on their dental health. And also with black cumin seed oil, which is also known as black seed oil, which we also produce. They are both amazingly powerful for extremely good dental health. Now, black cumin seed oil is used after a meal. And when you're done your meal, you take 1 teaspoon only once a day, and you swish it for about a minute. And then it cleans up your gums and your tongue. You gargle it for about 15 seconds, and then you just wash it down with a little bit of water. And people have given us amazing feedback on how wonderful that is to improve their dental health, because it goes after the bacteria in the tongue. It also goes after the bacteria that gets between the gum and the teeth. People also say, well, why would I swallow it if I've swished it in my mouth? Well, the reason is because black cumin seed oil is not like oil pulling oil where you swish for 10 minutes and spit it out. Black cumin seed oil works so quickly, it still has all of its therapeutic benefits for a whole body tonic. It also works beautiful in the back of the throat, just to clean up that area back there. So you definitely want to be swallowing this and getting it into your tummy and get it into the rest of your body, which is extremely beneficial. And you only do that once a day. This is one of the must-haves in the world of things that will continuously keep your health improving every single day going forward. Now, for the Solaris, some people take 3 drops and put it in a tiny bit of water and they swish it for a couple of minutes and then they swallow it or they spit it out. Or you just put 1 drop or 2 drops on your toothpaste, or even without toothpaste, and you'll find it works wonderfully even without toothpaste, and you brush your teeth with it. And it foams up beautifully. It gives a really super fresh taste in your mouth afterwards. And that you use when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night. And you would never brush your teeth after a meal. That's why you use the black cumin for after the meal. If you brush your teeth after the meal, your enamel is softened by all the saliva and the acids that form in your mouth from chewing the food. So I really don't recommend brushing your teeth after a meal at all. You just want to make sure your mouth is nice and clean when you're done eating your food. And the black cumin does a wonderful job there. Those are your far superior ways of having dental versus colloidal silver. Quite often we are asked, are there any contraindications with any of the activation products, with any kind of other medication or different health problems within the body? There are actually no contraindications at all because they're all very gentle and very effective. Now, when it comes to thyroid health, if a person's going to a doctor, they may have been diagnosed with whatever they're diagnosed with. We don't claim to cure any of those things. The thyroid does require iodide in order to function at a really high level. Every cell in your body requires iodine. And we have a product called Perfect Iodine that is in a very low dose, but a very high volume of that low dose. So the Dalton molecules go into the body and fuel every cell in your body. And when the iodine is reactive to deal with heavy metals or fungus or candida overgrowth or whatever it may be, the iodine immediately converts to iodide. And then the iodide is picked up in your bloodstream, and that goes to your thyroid, which your thyroid gets fueled by. It's really the only fuel that your thyroid can use, other than if you're taking Synthroid or some medication because your thyroid is not functioning correctly. And there's all kinds of, like I said, different diagnoses from hypothyroidism to hyperthyroidism and Hashimoto's and Graves and on they go. What we have seen is many people give feedback that when they use the perfect iodine, that those things are compensated for. In the case of a so-called dead thyroid, maybe the thyroid is being nuked by the doctors with radioactive iodine or whatever, they've taken the thyroid function out, then you have to be on Synthroid or some medication for the rest of your life, which is terribly unfortunate, but that is very common in this day and age. But always, if you have any concern about thyroid health particularly, make sure your doctor knows what you're doing and that you are given an A-OK from your doctor. If you're not getting an A-OK from your doctor, then I would avoid using the perfect iodine. But that's in a very rare case that will happen. And really, it's your responsibility. It's your body. You are going to do what you are happy with. And otherwise, just be very careful with everything. And if you're going to see a doctor, you're going to see a doctor to get good advice. So, yeah, I just recommend that you go with your doctor's advice if that's what you're comfortable with. And otherwise, you can test things out a little bit on your own and just see how you do. One thing you would always want to do if you were concerned about the iodine is start with a very low dose and just slowly build up and see how you feel. And just go with that. One of the problems that people face across the board is issues with uric acid. Now, when you're young, your body can process the uric acid quite efficiently. But many people, even when they are in their 30s, can start to see problems with uric acid buildup. And it could be in the form of gout or arthritis or different just inflammatory things. Uric acid is like a crystal that builds up, and it's very sharp, and it wreaks havoc with your kidneys when you have too much of it. Uric acid is a requirement in your body, but just a tiny amount. And when you have a little bit too much, it can actually slowly do kidney damage. It also wears the joints out, and it again will cause things like gout. So we found a beautiful substance that is called perfect uric, and is one of the triphala combinations of herbs, and it is in water. You just take drops every day. And what it does, it goes into your system, and it blocks the enzyme that would extract uric acid from the different purines in food. Now, you can go on Google or any web search and find out all the foods that have high amounts of purine. Things like red meat, organ meat. Some vegetables have more purine than others. And so if you're eating a diet that has a lot of purines, you can compensate for that by blocking the enzyme using the perfect uric product. And you use it on an ongoing basis. This is something that if I could go back to my 20-year-old self, I would be using perfect uric every single day, because then I would never, ever have a buildup of the uric acid in my body. I definitely had a buildup, and by the time I found out about perfect uric, it was perfect timing for me, because it was better late than never. But I was definitely having issues with gout and different aches and pains in my joints. I didn't understand why. But that's the primary reason that people suffer that way. The most important thing, though, is to make sure you're protecting your kidneys from damage. You want to make sure you do not have any overload of uric acid in your body at all. And it's just as simple as using the perfect uric on a daily basis and keeping that at a perfectly balanced state so your body doesn't have any of those symptoms and none of the damage. Now, can children safely take the entire line of activation products? The answer is yes. Every single one of our products are entirely safe for anyone at any age. If a baby is still nursing, no, they don't need that. They're getting wonderful nutrients from their mother's milk. Once they're weaned, you look at the body weight. So the dosage on all of the activation products is based upon 150 pounds of body weight. So you just take the weight of the child and you divide it up with the ratio. So if a child is 50 pounds, you divide the dosage in 1/3. So that's as simple as that. And all of the products have a wonderful beneficial effect, whether it's going in through the skin or consumed orally. And there's all kinds of ways to make it nice tasting by mixing it with different juices and so on. You always want to make sure that things are palatable and enjoyable for everyone, including yourself. One of the tricks to doing that is if you have something that you just don't have a palate for. Some people with Ocean's Live, for example, they love the taste of it. They put it straight in their mouth and they think it's the most amazing thing. Other people are like, wow, I really don't like the taste of that. So anything that you have that you really don't like the taste of, you either blend it into a smoothie where it just disappears, or you can take a tiny amount of water or a tiny amount of juice and you put the dosage into that tiny amount, like half an ounce, and then you have a glass of water in one hand and you have the tiny amount of fluid in the other with the product, you shoot it back and immediately wash it down with water, and then you don't have any sensational taste at all. But make sure you have enough water in the glass, like usually about 6 to 8 ounces. And you just drink it all and make sure you flush it right down to your tummy. And that's the most wonderful way to get things in your body that you may not like the taste of. One of the primary concerns is having a healthy gut. Now, your digestive system starts with your hands. Many cultures eat with their hands. Now, we don't in North America. We use, cutlery or chopstick or something like that. But it does start with the hands. And so it doesn't hurt to eat with your hands if you really wanted to. It's just not really that socially acceptable. People look at you weird when you eat with your hands, unless you're in other countries like India. Then the first step of your digestive system is chewing the food. Now, you have taste buds for a reason, not just for the enjoyment of the flavor of the food, but also so your brain can scan what is coming in. Your brain is super sensitive, and you are programmed with a program that tells you what things taste like. And when you chew your food, you want to chew it really thoroughly. The reason you chew it thoroughly is because you want to break the size of the molecules of the food down as tiny as possible. When you just chew a few times and swallow, you're putting chunks of food in your stomach, and the surface area is not very large. When you chew a mouthful of food 75 times, for example, you're breaking it down to very tiny molecules, and you're opening the surface area up 1,000 times bigger than it would be if you just swallowed after chewing a few times. And it also mixes the saliva with the food, and it also gives the brain the indication that there's incoming food. And then it goes into your tummy. Now, your HCl, your hydrochloric acid in your tummy, is very important to have it at the high strength. You want to have healthy hydrochloric acid in your stomach. That way your stomach very efficiently gets all the nutrients out of the food before it goes into your duodenum and into your small intestine, and then down into your large intestine and out into the toilet from the further waste product. So that allows your body to really thrive with getting the maximum nutrients out of your food. And one mistake people make is they drink fluids with a meal. The ideal thing is to drink a lot of fluid in between meals, so that 2 hours after you're done eating, because it takes around 2 hours to get the food out of your tummy. Now, if you're eating a salad, it only takes like 30 minutes. But if you're eating a full meal, it takes around 2 hours to get out of your tummy. And then it's into your duodenum, into your small intestine. Then you can drink as much fluid as you like. So 2 hours after you're done eating, drink lots of fluid. And the rule of thumb is to stop 20 to 30 minutes before the meal in order to not have liquids in your stomach, because it takes around 20 minutes to 30 minutes for the fluid to get out of your tummy. And so then when the food goes into your stomach acid is at the full strength. You haven't diluted it with some water or some fluid. And if you forget to drink fluids between the meals, then you're thirsty during the meal and you want to drink fluid. And that dilutes your stomach acid. So you want to just get a habit pattern going. When you have that stomach acid full strength, you're going to find a far better digestion and a far quicker transit time. Transit time means from the time you consume the food through your mouth until it comes out into the toilet. And that transit time should be 12 to 14 hours approximately. And that way it's all broken down beautifully, it's digested well, and your body's able to extract all the nutrients out. This allows your grocery bill to go way down, because when you chew your food properly, it usually takes about 20 minutes to eat a meal. And it takes around 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain, hey, I'm full. If you chew your food really fast and bolt a bunch of food down, you can end up overeating, and then your food doesn't break down properly, and your body thinks it's starving, and then it'll start to store fat. So this is like counterproductive. You're not doing yourself any favor by chewing your food quickly and drinking fluids with your meal. When you eat for 20 minutes, when you're chewing 75 times, you get full, you're super satisfied. You'll end up eating about half the amount of food as normal. And it also allows your body to burn fat properly, because now you're not trying to store the fat thinking that you're starving. And so a lot of people have dropped a large amount of fat off their body just by doing this simple process. It's called the art of eating. And it's an art, eating should be enjoyable. And the more you chew your food, the more flavor you get out of it, the more you enjoy it. And then your body just dials in. Now, obviously, you need to have healthy bacteria in your gut. You can get things like Dr. Ohura's probiotics I find those to be the best because they're shelf stable. They don't have to be refrigerated, and they work really well. Well, there's another little thing that people don't know about, and that is the raw material that's needed to produce really good stomach acid, because it's hydrochloric acid. And when you go and get unrefined sea salt and put a little bit in your water every day, it's only 5 grams per liter. And it has a little bit of a nice flavor. You'll definitely taste the salt. You get used to it really quickly. But that salt water, and you do need to have the proper one. Don't just go like Real Redmond or Himalayan or something like that. That's not the way to go. That's 99% sodium chloride. You want to have, the 75% area of sodium chloride and the rest of the trace minerals. And you get used to this. It takes your body a little while to get used to it. After a few months, your body's really used to it. And you'll find your stomach acid is really perfect. Plus your body is hydrated, because you need to bring those electrolytes in to hydrate your body. If you're always drinking water or things without the electrolytes in it, that will dilute the essential elements in your body and often affect your stomach acid. That's where people end up getting ulcers or, GERD or diverticulitis or these different acid reflux things where they get heartburn. And those things all go away when you properly have good, strong hydrochloric acid. And the unrefined sea salt and water also helps your body to produce even more clean, fresh blood. For gut health, those are your real key factors. And if you need to add a little bit of psyllium seed hulls or some kind of a fiber, that's okay too. You don't need very much of it, just tiny amounts. And you make sure that it's put into water, in a glass of water, stir it up and drink it before it gels. And that'll help to move things through as well. And it kind of brushes your colon clean. You could use like flax seeds or, ground up, or little chia seeds, things like that, depending on what you like to do. Those are things that create fiber, and they create a little bit of gelatinous flavor, to be able to get through a little bit more slippery through your digestive tract and have regular bowel movements. You'll end up with like 2 bowel movements a day, which is very healthy. And that eliminates things like hemorrhoids and various different things that people suffer from. That's the main thing that you can do to improve your gut. So enjoy. If you want to promote a healthy microbiome in your body, you don't just want to think about gut only. Of course, gut health is a big, important thing to have a good microbiome. But you have a microbiome in your mouth, your sinuses, your eyes, ears, nose, throat, your stomach, your intestines, anywhere where you have a mucosal layer. Now, your body produces around 1.5 liters of mucus per day, and you want to have that mucus fluid. You don't want to have it bunged up where it gets very thick. People get infected and then their mucosal layer produces really thick mucus. So there's a few things you can do with that. Number one is there's a product called Perfect Immune. It is Pelargonium pseudoides. It's an extract from a geranium plant grown in the mountains of South Africa. And they do this extract, and it's a phenomenal product to keep your mucus nice and thin and clean so that it flows well, because your body needs that mucus to go through your body and really clean things up and keep them tidy. So that's one very important thing to keep a healthy microbiome. And you also want to have pro and postbiotics. One of the best ways for the gut health side is Dr. Ohhira's probiotics. It's just a really great product. It's the best one I've ever found. It holds the essential probiotics in there that your body needs. And if you've taken any antibiotics in your life at all, antibiotics are only if a life and death situation comes up where you just didn't know that you got yourself into a really bad infected state, and then you are told by the doctor you're going to die if you don't take them. Well, you've got to go with what your doctor says, but please don't get yourself into that situation. You don't want to have tooth problems. There's all kinds of ways to make sure you never have abscess teeth. But you want to make sure that your overall microbiome in your body has the right amount of friendly bacteria and elimination of the unfriendly. A couple of things you can do to complement that is a product called Solaris. Solaris is rosemary, clove, and thyme, but it's the extract of the entire plant, and it's not like essential oils. This stuff, when you put it into water, it goes right into water and disappears. And it goes into your body, and it does an amazing job to keep really good microbiome throughout your whole body, because that goes after any of the microbial stuff that is unfriendly, and it doesn't bother with the friendly. It doesn't bother. So it really supports your body's ability to keep the microbiome at a healthy level of friendly bacteria. And you just do that once a day. It's just 10 drops in a glass of water. If you happen to be really sick and your microbiome is all messed up and your mucous membranes are producing all this thick, viscous stuff that you can't expel properly, then you can amp that up to higher dose, like 30 drops, 50 drops. Distillers, you want to make sure you put it in half an ounce of water, just stir it in really quickly, and then shoot it back and drink it down with water. The reason for that is that the sensation of that product can have a numbing effect in your mouth, and you don't want to have that discomfort. The other one is black cumin seed oil. Black cumin seed oil is just so well known to support really good gut health because it goes in and cleans up a lot of the mess. Plus, it's also nutritious. So it's cleansing and nourishing the body simultaneously, and it's a whole body tonic. Taking it internally is always 1 teaspoon after only 1 meal per day. Just pick whatever meal you like. As soon as the meal is done, you put 1 teaspoon in your mouth, swish it around for a minute, gargle it in the back of your throat, and wash it down with just a little bit of fluid. You don't want to be diluting your stomach acid. So that's how to really make sure that your microbiome throughout your body is really healthy. And if you are really struggling with something severe, you can dose the perfect iodine. Perfect iodine is a phenomenal way to clear the system. And when you clear the system with that, people have seen huge results with getting rid of the unfriendly bacteria on a large scale. But always make sure that you have a steady dose of a good probiotic going in, whichever your favorite is. And that's really important to keep that friendly population going throughout your whole system. A lot of people ask about alcohol, and I've done tremendous amount of research of the researchers who did a bunch of research, in fact, decades of research on all types of alcohol, whether it's in a tincture or whether it's in a whiskey bottle or beer or wine or vodka or tequila or whatever it is. And you and I both know that alcohol has permeated our entire society worldwide with the most fancy brands, the most powerful marketing, and the most enjoyable experiences when people sit around and drink alcohol together. They feel it really makes great social juice to make you get into conversations and do different things. And so people don't drink alcohol because they're bad. They drink alcohol because they want to feel good and have a fun time. The problem with alcohol is it is a significant poison for the body. It is, number one, it's a diuretic. It does liver damage and it does brain damage every time you consume it. And it also converts to sugar. It has high carb content. Many people who drink alcohol all the time die of pancreatic cancer early on, a definite known contributor to cancer in general. So I totally don't touch alcohol. I won't even touch any products that are in tinctures of alcohol. I have nothing to do with it, but that's my personal preference. I also found ways to enjoy myself in social gatherings with zero alcohol. Now, there was a study done over in the UK by a Dr. David Nutt, N-U-T-T, and he looked at the ratings of how much damage that these drugs cause, whether it's domestically, financially, environmentally, physically, mentally, emotionally. And after his studies, and he checked everything. I mean, he checked all the narcotics, all the pharmaceutical side effects, all the way up to nootropics and psychedelics and whatever else. But this study is just what it is. I mean, you make your own mind up about things. It's your body, it's your life. You do whatever you want to do. And I want you to do what you want to do. I don't want you to do what I want you to do. So I found so many more fun things to do, so many things that are really, really good for my health, that are far more enjoyable than any alcohol I've ever consumed in my life. And I've been many years of not touching alcohol now, and 10,000 times happier without it than with it. And I definitely had it off the list as soon as I found out it was a diuretic. But anyway, the study came back, and after the millions of dollars that he spent, the government told him, absolutely, you are not ever publishing this report. And he said, well, why would I not publish it? He said, obvious reasons. The economy is based upon people consuming alcohol on a regular basis. That alcohol makes them sick slowly, so when they get older, they get very sick. It also, we have massive tax on alcohol. There's more marketing money spent on alcohol than anything else in the entire world, even though it's not even allowed in certain venues. It's really heavily marketed when you think about it by word of mouth. So when he showed the report, alcohol was by far 10 times worse than any other drug on the earth, even harsh drugs like addictive things like heroin and all these opiates and barbiturates and crystal meth, et cetera, et cetera. And it went all the way down the list, and then it went around the corner, and it started to show things that were less harmful, that had less toxicity. They still had harm, and they were still semi-addictive. And then it got all the way up to the very top drug that was the most beneficial, that showed the most ability to help the brain function in a healthy person, far superior to what it would normally function. It was non-addictive and had no toxicity in it at all, was LSD, which is D-lysergic acid, that was discovered in 1938. It was produced in 1943 to 1963 by Sandoz Pharmaceutical out of Switzerland. Tens of millions of doses of it were shipped all over the world to all these different institutions with doctors. And these were particularly sanatoriums and mental institutions where people are suffering severely. And there was a documentary done on this in the early 2000s by the National Film Board of Canada called Hoffman's Potion, that revealed the extremely powerful therapeutic effects of LSD in its pure form. Now, LSD that's sold in the street, that's not pure form. The pure LSD 25, the D-lysergic acid, was shown to be extremely beneficial, and the doctors would consume it to have empathy and compassion for the people who were suffering so severely they had to be locked down in these institutions. They would be screaming all night, their whole life, like torturous stuff, and they would have to sedate them and do all kinds of things to keep these people calm enough to survive. And they used the LSD so beneficially to help people become better and get out of these institutions. And then in the early 60s, it leaked out onto the streets and people started to find out about it at universities. And then it got all the university students to wake up and realize that the wars were bogus. And they started calling out in the Vietnam War. And so they went, hold it, this is not what we want having to happen at all. Like, this is really, really bad. And they tried experiments with mind control. It didn't work with the LSD. And really, I don't recommend LSD. I'm just telling you that under the setting under a doctor's care, when they did therapeutic doses, which is such a tiny amount, but it has a great effect, it has to be done very responsibly with people who are not well. And they just banned it. They made it a Schedule 1 drug that was like long jail term sentences if anybody was caught with it. And all the research stopped and all the distribution internationally stopped 100%. 100% it was not allowed out there at all. Over the last few years, people have started to learn more and more about the beneficial effects of it. And so it's being used therapeutically. But at any rate, that was what the discovery was. So, alcohol, seriously, guys, it's up to you, but I don't recommend any of these things. And I don't think anybody needs any of them. Once you get your body detox and you get the right nutrients coming in and you find out the most wonderful beverages you can make that taste fantastic and make you healthier every single day, and they don't rob from your body, then you become a bright, glowing light where people want to be around you, and you have a presence with you that is felt when you walk into a room, because people realize there's something different about you, and they can't figure you out, but that's okay. Anyway, that's my short story on alcohol. Now, we all have heard in the very recent, decade about stem cells and how important stem cells are. Stem cells are cells that your body produces. You produce them in your bone marrow. And the biggest bones in your body produce the most. And when you're 20 years old, you have super healthy bone marrow. And it's dark red, and it produces a large amount of stem cells. And people in their 20s, pro athletes, for example, you can see it happen there. They have quick recovery rates when they get injured. And then by the time they're 30, a large portion of their red bone marrow has converted to yellow. Yellow bone marrow does not produce high-quality blood because your bone marrow produces all your blood in your body. And it doesn't produce the volume of stem cells that it did when you're in your 20s. In their 30s, a lot of pro athletes retire, and even before they're 40, because their body doesn't recover fast enough, because they don't have that production of stem cells anymore, which is very, very important to have. Now, you can optimize stem cell production by feeding your body the raw material it needs in the bone marrow to produce really good, clean blood and to keep itself in the dark red form. And the earlier you start, the better. But when you find out about this, even if you're 60 or 65 years old like me, you can still very much benefit from feeding your body the raw material. Now, the raw material is very simple. It's in this glass right here. The base of this is pure water, and in every liter you put 5 grams of unrefined sea salt. Now, it's not just any unrefined sea salt. I'm talking about unrefined sea salt from pure parts of the world that have the proper ratios of the elements, the 92 elements that are in seawater and in the sea salt. And we've found a really beautiful source for that from a few different places around the world, and we make a blend. And that sea salt is extremely beneficial for the raw material factor of you consuming it into your body. So when you drink it throughout the day, and that's what I do, I drink it throughout the day. I give myself the raw material, my whole waking day. That goes in your system, and it has all the components that your body needs to produce good quality blood, because blood is very similar to seawater. Now, seawater has 35 grams of salt in every liter. I'm talking 5 grams, 7 times less. And then that goes in and supports your bone marrow to stay very healthy, so it doesn't turn into yellow so quickly. So if a 20-year-old started doing it, they maintain good, healthy red bone marrow ongoing, which extends their life significantly with a much higher quality of life. And that allows the body then to produce the stem cells you need. Now, there are different ways of stimulating stem cell production through pulse electromagnetic frequency devices and also a percussion bioregenerative release system that we have now got available for people, that you just buy a little tool and you take a little course on it, and you learn how to make your body produce stem cells to repair injuries and things like that. And you find that out by physically experiencing the results of your body healing itself, because only your body can heal itself. Nothing really external can heal your body. You can stimulate your body to amp up the healing, which is what I'm talking about. And stem cells can convert to whatever cells in your body that are needed. And that's the beautiful thing about stem cells. They're fully adaptive. If it needs for liver or kidneys or heart or pancreas or lungs or brain or whatever, these stem cells are phenomenal. And I've experienced my whole body being healed by stem cells, and not by injecting them, by getting my body to produce more and to stimulate areas where the brain knows, send stem cells specifically to that area. And it's a beautiful breakthrough. Definitely stay tuned to learn more about that. We're producing the course right now on exactly how to stimulate stem cell production very efficiently and very quickly in your body. One of the most important things in your life is you definitely want to have a happy demeanor. You want to have a happy mood. You want to feel great. And if you feel great, you look great, you act well, you have great thoughts, it affects your behavior, that drives better results. And it really starts in your physiology. When you have all your 12 different operating systems synchronized and working really efficiently in your body, and you have your body getting a little bit healthier every day into the future, it makes you happy. And when you have the right elements in your system and the right nutrients, and your body is happy with you, you get happier. Now, when people get unhappy, they turn to things like alcohol or comfort foods or, something that releases dopamine, but that drains you. And that actually has a greater harmful effect. Some people get so unhappy that they go and they take antidepressant drugs that makes them more unhappy in the background, because they're only trying to mask the unhappiness. You are not deficient in those drugs. You're not. And you're not deficient in alcohol. You're not deficient in drugs. You're deficient in other elements and nutrients that are affecting your body's well-being, and your physiology drives your emotion. And people mistake emotion for feelings. Emotion is energy in motion. So if your body's not producing good quality energy, then that affects your feelings. If you're producing bad energy in motion, you feel badly. If you produce good energy in motion, you feel better. And those feelings affect your thinking. If you feel badly, you don't have happy thoughts. If you don't have happy thoughts, you don't behave well. But if you have good feelings coming from your physiology with the energy in motion, then that produces happy thoughts. And the happy thoughts produce good behavior, because you feel great, and then your behavior delivers good results, and then the good results go right back down into your physiology, and it starts to bring all that in a nice cyclotron of energy and positive things. Now, in your physiology, you have two systems. In your autonomic nervous system, there's two parts to it. One is sympathetic stress, which you need, which, you get a little bit of stress and you got to go get your things done during the day. And then when you're done the tasks, you want to go back into parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. So when you're in your parasympathetic mode, you are feeling great and you're relaxed. You're not as sympathetic. But a lot of people get locked into sympathetic because they get overstressed. There's too many things happening at once. People get overwhelmed. They don't breathe properly. They don't eat properly. They don't digest properly. They don't have deep enough rest at nighttime. And it becomes a downward spiraling effect where you get worse and worse. And then people end up taking anxiety drugs and depression drugs and all these other things. So most importantly is you got to get your breathing dialed in. There's a monitor, and I've seen this happen with every single person every single time. It goes in your ear and it measures which system you're in, if you're in sympathetic or parasympathetic. In order to get into parasympathetic and guarantee you're in there, it takes about 30 seconds. It's that fast. And all you do is you breathe in through your nose to the count of 5, and it's very smooth breathing. You're not pulling it in fast. You're not jerking it into your body. You're breathing in very slowly, in to the count of 5 through your nose, out through your mouth to the count of 6. And it's called box breathing. You just breathe rhythmically. 5 in, 6 out. And you just get into that rhythm, and within 30 seconds, you are into a totally different state physiologically with your autonomic nervous system now in parasympathetic. And if you keep doing that for 5 minutes, it gets even better. If you do it for 20 minutes, it gets even better. So many people, whenever they have like something really major coming up, maybe they have to be doing some public speaking, or they have an interview, or they have a lot of brain work they got to get done, you want to be in parasympathetic because then you're more clear thinking. You're not running from the tiger, so to speak, where you're in a fight or flight. Now you're in focused, and you're digesting your food properly. You're clear thinking. You're calm. You're deliberate. And so you could do that box breathing for 20 minutes, and that will hold you for many hours. You just go back to regular breathing after that. That will hold you in parasympathetic literally for many hours. And it will also give you energy, puts you in a really good mood. And you want to be in a good mood at all times, whether everything's going wonderfully and smoothly or things are problematic. You always want to be happy and in a good mood. So that's the main trick to doing that. And it's not even a trick. It is a methodology. It's a modality that you can do this box breathing. And then, of course, you want to make sure you're eating well, keeping all the elements in, you're sleeping deep, you're waking up in the morning refreshed and ready to go, your hormonal system is dialed in, you got lots of great brain power, and everything is great in your life, and you're having a good time. One of the most important organs in your body is your heart. And your heart is a very muscular structure with all the ins and outs that go, and people think the heart pumps the blood. Well, the heart is really just the intake and the output for large volumes of blood. Your blood is really pumped by your arteries, veins, and capillaries with the muscle walls in peristaltic motion moving all the blood through your body. You have literally billions of pulses a second through your entire system, and you can see that under a microscope. You've got 10,000 kilometers of cardiovascular tubing in your body. You only have 5 liters of blood in your whole body. If you're a very large person, you have up to 5.5 liters. And you pump all that blood every 60 seconds to every cell in your body. So your body pumps 7,600 liters of blood a day. And a liter is like a quart, right? So that's a lot of blood. And your heart is dependent on rhythm. It wants to be in a good rhythm. And you want to be in the form of parasympathetic in your autonomic nervous system to keep a nice heart rate variable dialed into the right way. So heart rate variability allows your heart to function efficiently. And it also does not want to get plugged up with a bunch of plaque. Plaque starts to build up when you have too much bacteria in your system, and it can make the inner arteries and the inside of the heart rough, and it can then pile up with these different debris things that go through your blood and even plug arteries and cause heart attacks and all kinds of other things. But keeping everything flowing is very important. You can go back and look at the video called Happiness, and you'll see in there the exact protocol on how to keep your body in the parasympathetic mode most of the time. Sometimes you got to be in sympathetic stress to get your tasks done in the day, but you really want to be able to get your heart rate variability most of the time in parasympathetic, and that keeps you calm and centered, and it allows your heart to beat a nice regular beat. And your body wants to have a very, very healthy heart for your entire life because your life depends on it. And your heart is, 86,500 heartbeats a day. And that's a lot of heartbeats. If your heart happens to stop for some reason, you have about 8 seconds until you're blacked out because your brain requires so much oxygen every millisecond, you can't afford to not be delivering oxygen to your brain. So your heart is a critical piece in your system. And so that heart rate variability, keeping your arteries really cleaned, and you run on biophotons. Your body's phenomenally complex, but it simply runs automatically. And you want to be able to support that as best as you can with the right nutrition, with the right kind of fats, with the right kind of proteins at the right time of day. And you definitely want to make sure you get great sleep at night. That's why it's so important to be in parasympathetic most of the time and allowing your body to go into that deep sleep and restore all the cells in your whole body, particularly your heart cells. So that's just a little basic thing on the heart. And there's much more than that, of course, but that's good enough for this moment. You know, in your life, your body wants different things at different times. And a lot of people ask about cycling the use of the activation products. And I actually do recommend that. There's some products that are must-have on a daily basis, like things that are fueling your body. Things like transdermal magnesium, the product Ease. That's a daily must-have because you're burning magnesium every day and you don't have enough. And so you want to keep your fuel tanks filled up in your tissue. And other products like Oceans Alive is a nutrient. That's a must-have. And different other ones that you can then cycle, though. Go on and off them. You know, things like black cumin seed oil, Solaris, Iodine. You can cycle them. You don't have to do them every single day. I tend to go at 90-day spurts on certain things. So I'll do a 90-day run, a sprint, and then I'll cycle off for a little bit and then do 30 days. And, you just kind of mix it up a little bit. You got to get a feel for how your body likes things. And I often recommend for people to just get one product and see what it does to start with. And then they go, oh, it does that. Okay, it gives me that feel, and I got those results. And then they add another one in, and then they feel what that's like, and they notice the difference with that. And just like that. So, yeah, cycling is okay. And if you're reading your body correctly and you're getting healthier every day, you know you're on the right track. If you're not getting healthier every day, not quite on the right track yet. You want to learn to read your body and monitor things really well. And yes, cycling the products are great. Now, if you're the kind of person who has oily skin, depending on what kind of oil it is, can be either beneficial or harmful. If your body produces like butter kind of oil and it gets plugged up in your pores and all that kind of stuff, you definitely want to make sure your body is able to digest fats better. It means your liver is not really efficient at digesting fat as best as it could. And you got to be careful what fats you're consuming. And you also want to make sure your body keeps detoxed. So oily skin, I don't recommend any kind of harsh cleansers on the skin at all. I use water to wash my face. I do not use any cleansers, and I don't ever exfoliate my skin. If you start exfoliating your skin, you'll notice, oh, it's nice and smooth and looks so great. Well, maybe once in a while, if you're going to go to a really important function where you want to look amazing, you can exfoliate. But otherwise, the more you exfoliate, the thinner you're making your skin. It's not good for you. And so don't ever make a habit of doing that. Your skin will end up having a glow like mine by not exfoliating at all, by simply washing with water and doing different other treatments, which, things like the amaranth oil or the Ease, different things you can put on your skin. Black cumin seed oil is amazing. And that will help to balance the oil in your skin and keep that in a more healthy state. And of course, your internal, what you're consuming, be very aware. Don't consume rancid seed oils. Rancid seed oils are harming people so badly in this world, it's a crime. Activation has a very specific line of therapeutic seed oils, but you only take tiny amounts of it. You don't gorge it and guzzle the stuff. It's therapeutic, unadulterated, undamaged, no rancidity. It is packed in Miron glass. It keeps it very stable, and tiny amounts is very good for you. So you just got to become more aware. And so you can take it internally and you can apply it externally. But just watch your diet, watch the things that bother your skin the most, that produce that nasty oil, and just get away from it. You want to have good sebaceous glands producing really good, healthy oils out of your skin, keeping you looking young and youthful and glowing with no blemishes whatsoever. An organ in your body that's called the liver is called that for a reason. It keeps you alive. if you have problems with your liver, it can actually shorten and even end your life. So your liver needs to be kept clean. And that means that it can function better, it can digest fat better, it can digest food, it can clean the blood. It has multiple different functions in your body. And if your liver gets plugged up or the enzyme numbers go off the charts or you get a fatty liver, those things wreak havoc. People can get sclerosis of the liver and get jaundice and all these different things when you have a bad liver. I went through a stage in my earlier life when I was in my 40s of having a liver that was so badly functioning. And I wasn't even drinking alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol when I was 21. But I wasn't watching what I was eating. And my liver, it was so bad that when the technician measured my liver with his machine, he told me to immediately go to the hospital. That was back in 2007. I told him, your machine must be broken, because I was 3 years into my health journey at that point. And I thought, no way. He goes, sir, the machine is not broken. You have to actually leave this place right now. I want you to leave. And I don't want to talk to you anymore, and you've got to go to emergency right now. So I went through this whole thing. It was like, I took it serious. I didn't go to the hospital, but I did immediately start researching on how to have a healthy liver. I found out that flaxseed oil, black cumin seed oil, and milk thistle seed oil are amazingly beneficial for a liver. By 2009, so from that 2007 reading to 2009, I went back to another place, not the same place, to the exact same machine and got measured, and my liver numbers were dialed right in. But I did pay attention to making sure I was supporting my cleansing and nourishing of the liver. I was still eating very clean, but that was not helping. I had to give something more. So the flax oil, the black cumin, and the milk thistle. And you can also take milk thistle herbs. There's extracts from the milk thistle plant itself that are extremely beneficial for liver. And you want to make sure you don't have anything going on in the liver other than great function, and keep it healthy. Obviously, alcohol is off the menu 100%. That does serious liver damage. And people try to compensate it by taking milk thistle seed oil before they drink and milk thistle seed oil afterwards. That helps, but it doesn't totally eliminate the problems with alcohol. So yeah, love your liver. Your liver loves you, but you got to love your liver. And then your liver will love you more. And it will treat you really well. And your skin problems will clear up. All kinds of stuff clears up when you have a really healthy operating liver.